Welcome back everybody to a brand new video. In this video, I'll be talking about the last game in the Mario 3D All-Stars collection. The one I've been waiting for all this time. Super Mario Sunshine. This game is just something else to me. Something completely different compared to any other Mario game I've played. Because back then, I didn't even know the GameCube existed. I had Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon on my 3DS, and I didn't know there was a prequel back on the GameCube all the way back in the day, 2001. And that's when I started looking at it more and more, and I'm like, wait a minute, there's a game called Mario Sunshine. This game seems pretty amazing in my opinion, right? There's this thing called the Flood Pack. You can have hover nozzle and stuff. You can just fly around. Holy, that took so many hearts from me. But like, the whole thing about the game, right, is that you get these nozzles, right, for like a hover jet, like a water jet, so you can use throughout the game, right? And that really intrigued me, and the whole theming of the game, all of it being in like just a whole like vacation or like kind of Hawaii based place. Everything about Isle Delfino, like the hub of the game, everything just intrigued me so much, which is the reason why I wanted a GameCube. That was before, that was when the GameCube sold out and everything. That was like a couple of years ago, let's say 5 or so years ago, back in like 2016. And I really wanted to play Mario Sunshine, right? But I just couldn't, because I didn't have a GameCube. I know there's no way to replay the game just like it is today, because 3D All-Stars is gone now, because I recorded it after March 31st, now it's I think April 2nd. But the whole thing about it is that the game Mario Sunshine is like one of the coolest games in my opinion, right? It may be very divisive, may be very dividing, but personally, what I saw about the game is that it's probably could be one of my favorites. And of course it's still like probably not as good as Mario Galaxy, of course, but it's a very divisive game that I wasn't really expecting to come out of, like a vacation game. I'm like, Mario goes on a vacation, what's the worst that could happen? A lot. That's when they introduced Bowser Jr. to the Mario series. That's when they introduced so much stuff that it's like commonplace now. But why did I take andesite? Like the whole like part of the game, right? Whole thing of the game is to clear out gunk, right? Clear out the paint that Bowser Jr. puts all over the world with your flood pack that you get in the very beginning of the game. So it's basically one of your toolkits, like in Mario Odyssey where you get Cappy. It's basically like that, but like 2 decades before. And the whole thing about the hover nozzle, because it makes the 3D platforming a bit easier. That was the main premise of it in the first place, so that people don't have to really worry about like falling off a huge place, even though that still does happen prominently in Mario Sunshine. But like, it's at least it's like less common for you to fall off an entire big building and just like friggin' just not really die, because there is fall damage, but it isn't really that bad. Like for you to like restart from like the very beginning of the level, well not really beginning, but like the very bottom of the level. But the flood pack helps out with that, right? And the whole theming of it, right? Going back to the theming. Who wouldn't want to play a Mario game that has one specific theme of a beach setting? And there's actually story, but like I'll go to that a bit later, but like there's actually story. Theme is all in a beach. Yeah, I feel like it's pretty interesting, because like what other Mario game only takes place in a beach? No other theme. There was never a Mario game where it was only the ground theme, only the lava theme, nothing like that. Maybe Mario Land, because it's like a desert theme, Sorrel Land, all that stuff, but that was like the closest before Mario Sunshine. And nobody ever replicated what Mario Sunshine did. No other Mario game is like Mario Sunshine. Even though the controls may be like one of the most varied in like the entire Mario series. I feel like that's just insane, because like literally one of their main marketing points, right, in the literal cover of the game, they literally say this is the Mario game with the most amount of moves ever. ever before. They literally sit down on the front of the box, the main box art. And the amount of moves in Mario Sunshine is insane. Probably not as crazy as Mario Odyssey, but still, this was insane at the time. Knowing that Mario could just do so many moves, even though he didn't have his long jump from Mario 64, but he had so many other moves. And with the Flood Pack, it just expanded it even more. Right, so those are my main positives of the game, right? The boss fights as well as another positive. But that just all culminates together into a really amazing game. Overall, really amazing game that Nintendo was never able to replicate ever since. But now here comes the negatives, right? The game may seem very amazing because it really is, well, the device, but either way, it's still a really solid game for the GameCube. But the whole thing about it is that it's just, there's 3 hover nozzles in the game. You mainly use the first one, the hover nozzle and the squirt nozzle that you always have. The squirt nozzle you always have to spray off the paint. But that's my big problem. You barely get to use any of the other, literally none of the other freaking nozzles in the game. You only use it for a couple of shines and some blue coins. It's another problem in the game, but I'll go later. Talk about that later. But that whole thing about just I just don't really like it. I just don't really like the feel of it because you have 3 options, 3 hover nozzles that you can switch between, and that could have been used more proficiently throughout the game. But no, they don't do that. They don't do that at all. But another thing that I don't like, which isn't really all that good, is just the whole entire final level of the game. This may contain spoilers, but the whole theory of Al Delfino, there's a volcano right next to it, right? And the final level takes place inside that volcano. Thinking about it, right? Wouldn't that just sound very cool? You enter a volcano to fight the final boss, Shadow Mario. Isn't that just crazy? You get to fight Shadow Mario once and for all, trying to stop him try to finally beat him at his own game. But nope. Of course, the final boss has to do something with Bowser in a hot tub. What? And then the whole before that, the whole mechanics of the level, right? There was the first section where you use the hover nozzle and the squirt nozzle to go past spikes that literally insta-kill you if you touch it, and fire that insta-kills you on top of a whole pit of lava. But then the next part of the level is a boat section, and the boat has the most confusing mechanics that, of course, it makes sense in the real world, right? If you stand in front of the boat and you look to the right direction, you squirt your nozzle, it's gonna turn the boat to the left. But if you stand in that same direction, if you stand in the same place but you go a bit down the boat, you go to the bit more curvature of the boat, the farther part of the boat, the back of it, that's what I meant to say. You start to squirt and it turns the other direction instead. So it's just 4 sections of the boat, right? The left front, the left back, the right front, the right back, right? And the whole part of it just confused me. It confused everybody, because the funny part about it is that it wasn't a mechanic that was previously talked about throughout the game. There was only in one other level in the game, and that's really it. And that just really annoyed me. In so many ways. The whole thing about it was just, I just didn't really like the feel of it. It was just felt like everything that you learn throughout the game doesn't really get used in the final level. It doesn't test your skill. It just felt like a flop. And of course, the final section after that boat section is let's get these pickaxes. Is about using the rocket nozzle that you barely use throughout the game to go to the very top of the volcano, right? You have to go across clouds and stuff. Pretty cool section. But it isn't really that difficult. The pacing of the level was horrible. and it really just ruined the feel of the entire game. And then, the worst part of it all is that you do not get to fully hear the final boss music because of the action that is happening. All the stuff that is happening in the final boss, you can barely hear the amazing background music for it. And that just really pisses me off because the final boss music in Mario Sunshine is fantastic. But it really soured the whole feel of the game. I feel like the final level should have better pacing and all that stuff. And here's another problem, right? Another problem that I should have discussed before the final level. The whole point of a linear 3D Mario game. So in Mario 64, right? One thing that everybody really liked about it is that you could go to wherever you want, whenever you want. If you want to beat Bowser, you don't have to beat every single level. You just have to collect 70 stars in whatever order you want. Except for, of course, the first level, but like, the first level isn't really that difficult. But you can do it in any order you want. Any order you want after the first level. You just have to collect 70 of the 120 stars, and you can fight the final boss. Well, that's not how it works in Mario Sunshine. The only star, well, the shines in the game you have to collect, the only shine in the game that you could miss is the first one, because every level is based off like episodes, or episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? You can only skip the first level, like the first, like Pianta Village. Wait, is it Pianta Village? Wait, I don't think it is, damn. It's what's it called? Right, I forget. Okay, the first level. Wait, I'll be back. I'll do a quick Google search. Hills, the first level of Mario Sunshine, of course. How could I forget? But Bianco Hills, you can miss the first shine of that level. So you could go to immediately to the second one. But that's the only shine you could miss in the game. So there's no like you need 70 stars or something. You need to do episodes 1 through 7 of every single level, with the 8th being an additional that you don't really necessarily have to do. You have to do episodes 1 to 7 through every single level in the game in order for the final boss to happen. So you could technically get all 120 shines before, well, that's a lie, but like get pretty close to 120 shines before Bowser, before like the whole final level even gets unlocked. Isn't that just crazy? That's insane. And of course, it just really ruins the pacing of the game, right? You have to go through every single level. It's not very that explorative. It feels like a world map basically. You go destination A, destination B, get the flagpole, end of the level. But that's not really how it is in Mario Sunshine. But it's very similar to that, even if it's a 3D Mario game, which pisses me off the most because, like, damn, you're telling me you cannot explore in a 3D game. That kind of sucks. And then let's see what other negative parts about the game there are, because it's pretty hard to think of negatives other than those. I could probably think of another one. Let's see, how about talking about how the game was rushed? That's another thing about the game, right? The game was rushed very heavily. That's one thing that really hindered the game, right? Like, they didn't really have all that much time to do it, right? It's the whole new next console and stuff. The GameCube came out and it's like, oh, we need a Mario game by like next year after the console releases. Then bam, they pop out Mario Sunshine in a couple, like in a year or two after development. Not even a 3-year cycle. Even though the previous 3D Mario game came out all the way back in 1996. Still more diamonds. And that honestly really sucks because, damn, you're telling me that somehow they just started becoming lazy with the Mario series, right? They didn't do another Mario game until Mario Sunshine, right? So let this sink in, right? All they had in those years, I don't even think Mario Land 2, I think Mario Land 2 already came out. They had no games of Mario that are like mainline games from 1996 to all the way to 2002. That's like Breath of the Wild levels of like length. That's 8 years. That's 8 years of waiting for another Mario game. And they just started development 2 years. In the year 2000, they started development of Mario Sunshine. What? How does that make any sense? And of course, with that caused all those many issues that happened with the game. It felt rushed, it felt incomplete, bunch of things are missing. There's this book in the game in one of the levels, right? That you can see it, but you can never interact with it. Which sucks a lot, because like, it feels like they should have done something with it, but they just left it in the game probably because of time's sake and stuff. Like, the game feels unpolished because there's so many glitches in the game and stuff. Like, check out World Record 1s. And they're pretty nuts. You could clip through the wall with the trampoline and stuff to collect the shine. That'll probably take like a long time, like a couple minutes length, down to like a minute or so. Like, that's a huge time gap. And then just a whole bunch of stuff that was like really unpolished, the game. It was way too rushed in my opinion, because of the reasons I stated before. And let's see, anything else negative about the game? I think that's really it. That's really it. But even after all those negatives I may have said about the game, I still recommend you to play the game if you can afford 3D All-Stars from a third-party website, because guess what? They removed the game. They removed Mario 3D All-Stars. That's another thing I really dislike. I don't think I really talked about it in my last video, or my last two videos, that much. But I really dislike the point of them removing a game like that. March 31st. You had 6 months, right? During a pandemic. How are you supposed to get? You have to be really lucky in order to get that game at that point. Of course, $60 for a game. I don't really care about the price. I think the price is worth it. 3 Mario games for $20, right? But then they barely updated and stuff, and that's a whole nother problem. But the whole March 31st thing. You have a game that you haven't released in years. More diamonds. You have a game that you haven't released in years, right? And you just re-release it with 2 other Mario games that are very popular, right? And you just remove the whole collection 6 months after because you earned like 8 million in sales because of the limited release. But then you could have earned even more if you would have kept the game on the market. Just a lose-lose no matter what. The people that couldn't afford the game didn't have the time to have the money to get the game. Guess what? They can't get the game through Nintendo anymore, which means Nintendo will lose sales, which means that people will just start pirating their games more. And on top of that, people will start to be more desperate and try to buy it through third-party websites like eBay. And that's kind of a problem because they could put it for extreme prices if they want to, because it's no longer available. I remember, right? Like a couple people on eBay, right? Like a day before 3D All-Stars got released, they put the game's price on eBay for, not even kidding, $10,000. $10,000. I might be dead. But $10,000. Who's gonna spend that money on that game? $10,000, and the game wasn't even released yet. And of course, 7.8 million copies. They were prepared. They have more copies, which is the most annoying part. And the worst part is that they could sell it through their online eShop, but they just didn't want to because of the whole limited release bullcrap that they thought of. Just could not grip onto that. It doesn't make any sense. But the good things did come out of the whole limited release. People making memes about Mario dying. That's the best part of it all. Kinda sad, but hey. The memes always win, but I think that's really what I have to talk about in this video. I only have that much more to say. I have 18 diamonds. I'm getting pretty close to the full diamond armor. Could probably do that next video. And finally show you guys how I could get full diamond armor under an hour of grinding without fortune, but remember to drop a like if you watched this entire way through. Show some support, leave a comment if you want to, show any criticisms, any improvements you want me to do to my videos. And overall, see you guys next time. for the next video. Adios. So how could I forget? I forgot about one of the most important things, the blue coins. Holy crap, I totally forgot. But the blue coins in Mario Sunshine, there's 240 in the game, right? But you can only, in order to 100% the game, you have to collect all 240 so you could get the rest of the 24 out of the 120 shines in the game. And that's a huge negative because they don't show you which ones you've collected. They only show the amount you collected in each level, which means you have to check an entire guide the entire way through because you might have forgot, oh, did I get this one? Did I get this one? And that's the reason why I never 100% in Mario Sunshine. That's a fun fact. I never 100% in the game, even with 3D All Stars, because the blue coins were the most annoying thing ever. They didn't do any updates to it, they didn't change anything about it, and it was just really horrible. Really, really, such a bad idea. But of course, one of the most saving graces of the game is the movement, as I said before. The movement's really good. I love just running around Isle Delfino, running around just having fun, testing out how good my skills are, all the belly dives and stuff. It's a really enjoyable game. But of course, I may have seemed really negative in this video, probably more than I did in the Mario 64 one. But I just want to say the negatives and the positives. And of course, it may seem the negatives may outweigh the positives, but the positives are just that good that it makes the game worth it. That's what I'm saying. It's a very divisive game depending on which person you are. Because it's a very challenging game on top of that. I forgot to say that. Some levels are extremely difficult. Some take a lot of time to do. There's a watermelon level for episode 8 that you really have to do. But like, yeah, you know, in 100% of the game you have to do it, and I did it. But it was pretty difficult to do because the watermelon pops in a second. But stuff like that are just really annoying. But overall, I think that's really it for the video. Sorry for the thing I forgot. Because I was like, oh wait, I forgot to talk about the blue coins. But alright, see you guys for next time. See you.